The atmosphere in the small, dimly lit bar was thick with the hum of chatter and the clinking of glasses. It was a typical Friday night in downtown Los Angeles, crowded, loud, and filled with people eager to unwind after a long week. But tonight, something was different. Something about the air felt charged, like a storm was brewing just beneath the surface. Eddie, the bartender, stood behind the counter, polishing a glass, his eyes scanning the room. It was his shift, and as usual, things were busy. But his attention kept drifting toward a table in the corner, where a man was becoming increasingly rowdy. His name was Victor, and he was already well past his limit. Victor, a middle-aged man with a grizzled face and bloodshot eyes, had been drinking heavily since the moment he'd walked in. His slurred speech and unsteady movements made it clear that he was beyond control. The waiter, Daniel, a young man in his 20s with a friendly smile and a patient demeanor, had approached Victor's table for the third time that evening. "Sir, would you like another drink, or can I get you anything else?" Daniel asked, trying his best to be polite. Victor, however, wasn't having it. With a drunken sneer, he slammed his fist down on the table, making the glassware rattle. "Who do you think you are, huh? You think you can just keep serving me like some servant?" he slurred. Daniel took a step back, his calm professionalism not wavering. "I'm just here to help, sir. If you're ready to leave, I can call a cab for you." But Victor wasn't ready to leave. He was far from it. He staggered to his feet, his face red with anger. "I've had enough of this," he growled, his eyes narrowing as he pointed a finger at Daniel. "You're not going to tell me what to do. Get out of my way." The tension in the room grew thick. The other patrons, sensing the conflict, began to glance nervously over their shoulders, unsure of what would happen next. That's when the door to the bar swung open, and in stepped a figure who seemed to draw all the attention in the room: Keanu Reeves. He wasn't there for the drama. In fact, he was simply looking for a quiet corner to relax, away from the prying eyes of the public. But as he made his way to the bar, he couldn't ignore the commotion coming from Victor's table. The patrons fell silent as Keanu walked past them, his presence almost magnetic. It wasn't just his celebrity status that commanded attention. It was the quiet confidence that seemed to emanate from him. Keanu took a seat at the bar, ordering a drink without acknowledging the scene unfolding. But then he noticed Daniel, still standing patiently, as Victor continued to shout at him. Victor, now fully enraged, grabbed Daniel by the collar of his shirt, pulling him forward. "I said get out of my way!" he shouted, his breath reeking of alcohol. The entire bar froze. In that moment, Keanu stood up. "Hey," his calm voice cut through the tension. "I think you've had enough for tonight." Victor turned, momentarily taken aback by the soft-spoken words. He squinted, his drunken mind trying to process who had just spoken. "What? You think you can tell me what to do? Who the hell are you?" Keanu's gaze remained steady, unflinching. "I'm just someone who believes you've crossed a line, and I think it's time to let it go." Victor, anger still boiling, took a step forward, ready to escalate the situation. But before he could say another word, Keanu reached out, not with aggression, but with a hand on his shoulder, firm yet gentle. "Listen, I get it," Keanu said. "We all have our moments, but it's not worth ruining someone else's night, especially someone who's just doing their job." Victor, still seething, looked around at the other patrons, who were now watching with wide eyes. Something about Keanu's words seemed to deflate his rage, even if only for a moment. He hesitated. Daniel, who had been standing in stunned silence, finally spoke. "Sir, we don't want any trouble. You're welcome to stay, but only if you can keep it together." Victor, looking defeated, stumbled backward and slurred something incomprehensible before slumping into his chair, his anger dissipating into an awkward silence. The whole bar let out a collective sigh of relief. Keanu gave a slight nod to Daniel, who smiled in appreciation. "Thanks, man," Daniel said, his voice full of gratitude. Keanu returned to his seat as if nothing had happened, ordering another drink. The patrons resumed their conversations, but the mood had shifted. A sense of calm had replaced the tension, and the night, which had nearly turned into chaos, felt like it had been saved by an unexpected hero. In that moment, it wasn't just Keanu Reeves's fame that made him stand out. It was his quiet, unspoken way of handling conflict. He didn't need to raise his voice or use force. All it took was a few simple words and a hand on someone's shoulder to turn a tense situation around.